Hey everyone, it's Jamie from Independence Street Tarot and Seasons and Ritual, and I'm here to talk about Mercury retrograde. It is April 2nd. Mercury did go retrograde yesterday on April 1st, April Fool's Day. You cannot tell me the universe does not have a sense of humor. Okay, because that's pretty funny. Um, it will be retrograde until the 24th. So this is always a good time. And I would say this, I always say like this is a good time to go over our thoughts, what we're thinking. Um, but this is a really good time because Mercury is in Aries and there's so much happening in Aries right now. It's like a new beginning. It's the first sign of the astrological zodiac, astrological year, if you will. Um, the solar eclipse on the 8th is happening in Aries. It is really a rebirth of Aries. It is really a rebirth of ourselves. It's really a rebirth of who we are and of our courage at this time. And it is so important now because Aries is that I am presence to really think about and listen to what we say about ourselves and who we are. And I can tell you when I decided to really start focusing on this again, and it was probably about 2015, 2016, um, and I was making that conscious decision, okay, really pay attention to your thoughts, Jamie. I was almost in tears every single day because my thoughts were always negative. And even if some of them weren't mean negative, the reality of it is they were all negative and they were just various degrees of negative. And I would ask myself, how am I going to get through this? Literally, Jamie, every thought you have about yourself, um, and not necessarily others, but just like, but the other was negative, whether it was like, they don't like me or they don't respect me or they probably think this about me. Um, very low vibration, you know, very low baseline, let's just say that, and to get out of that. And that's when I started consciously practice my breathing. Um, I started consciously, you know, going back to the bell, as Thich Nhat Hanh would say, because it would take me out of that linear thought of just negative thoughts all the time, all the time. So I want you guys to know the good news is there's more positive energy on the earth than there was 9 years ago. So once you just start noticing these patterns, or if you're thinking negatively, um, they will start to change a lot quicker than they did for me. And I know this for a fact because of the positive energy on the earth, because everything's being lifted so rapidly at this time. Um, so start to notice what your thoughts are when you're driving in the car. And I was in Alabama past weekend for Easter visiting my family. And I noticed I had to go pick up Tyrone to take him to the Social Security office. And the first thing, like the thoughts were going, and it started to get like negative, negative. And it's not like negative, like you're stupid or this is so dumb, but it's like, oh, I probably should have took that turn. Oh, I shouldn't have gone this way. Oh, this was probably a better way. And I was like, okay, no, 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 pump the brakes. I said, we're not going to get into this. We're going to start leading with the heart. We're going to be consciously making decisions from the heart. I'm going to stay in my heart consciousness. I'm going to stay present in my brain. I know every decision that I'm making right now is the correct decision to get me to where I need to go throughout this day. But I had to stop it because unconsciously I started to fall back into negative thought patterns. And again, it wasn't like, it was kind of sneaky. We were talking about watch for those sneaky thought patterns that come up. And so this is a good time to do that with this Mercury retrograde. Mercury will retrograde back past Chiron and then go past Chiron again. So Chiron is that wounded healer. We see him now as the great healer. We see him now as teaching us where those parts where we might have felt a little like that was our biggest wound, like we'll never amount to anything because of this one wound. We're now seeing that's not true. We're now seeing like, oh, when I can explain about this and I see like this is how I feel, but you know what? Maybe others feel that same way. Oh, and let me tell you how I overcame this. Oh, let me listen to see how you overcame this, right? It's everything is changing. all this ideas about how we think about ourselves and how we think about the other is changing. And it's changing with more love, quite honestly, because we're having more compassion for ourselves. We're really starting to listen to who we are, and we're having courage with that. And that's what the beautiful thing is about it having being in Aries. Again, I also think this is a really big story for Aries season. Aries ruler of Mars is in Pisces, and when Mars goes into Pisces, he has to go into meditation. So, well, we still are in Aries season, so we might still get like a little lit up or like a little anxious to go. I know I don't have any patience. I feel like I don't ever have any patience. So one of you told me you thought I had a lot of patience. So thank you. I appreciate that. Because I want things now. I want it now, right now. And some months are better than others. I'm gonna be honest with you. But Aries seasons is pretty much like I want like I want all the flowers to be in bloom right now. Um, Yep. So, but Mars is in Pisces. And so Mars in Pisces, Mars has to go into meditation. So it is giving us a little more wiggle room to have a little more patience, to have a little more way of, well, let me allow to see how this unfolds. Okay, let me understand that I don't have to have all the answers right now. I can let them, I can allow them to come to me. And I can be okay with that, right? Having that courage that you know the answers are coming, having that courage that, yes, I'm going to keep standing up and I'm going to have the courage to understand that things will be presented. I don't have to have it figured out, right? Aries, not known to be the most strategic warriors in the myths, right? Aries just knows to stand up, knows how to fight, knows how to have courage, right? And again, I'm not saying if you're an Aries, you don't know how to be strategic. You know, you can be strategic if you're an actual human Aries because we can learn how to be strategic. Okay, so please don't get those two confused. But Aries as the warrior, I'm saying as a mythological figure, wasn't known to be the most strategic. That was Artemis, right? She was known for strategery. But we take Aries' courage to stand up. We take Aries' ideas that he understands. He understands the art of war in on one hand. And now that he and Mars has gone under that big change. They're now these spiritual warriors. So they know how to stand up. And Aries does understand a little bit more patience, which let's just go. Let's just say he had 0 to begin with. So now if he has, he can just count to 6 and then do it. You know, that's a huge step for our sweet, sweet Aries. So work with that in this time of Mercury retrograde. Rewrite these stories about yourself. Really listen and ask your heart. And I've been doing this too the past, I guess maybe a week and a half too. It's come in that we need to ask our mind and our brain the exact same question and see how both of them answer. Because 9 times out of 10, one will say one thing and the other will say something else. So we need to get those guys in step, right? Lockstep. So if that comes up and I was like, oh, okay, well, what do I need to do then to get my brain aligned with my heart? And then I just start telling my brain, I need you to start thinking consciously. I need you to stay in the present. I need you to think in the present right now. And when I do that, I can feel my energy shift. It shifts quickly. So, and I keep telling my heart, I need you to still stay present. I need you to be making decisions in the present. You know, I need you to move forward in this energy because we don't want to make decisions based on the past, on the past, whether we know it or not, right? It is that idea of falling, you know, self-sabotage, right? I keep self-sabotaging myself and I don't know why. And I think it is, I was listening to Joe Dispenza last week and he reminded me like sometimes when that happens, it's because we fall back into an unconscious pattern or an unconscious way of thinking. So instead of thinking like self-sabotage, I would say there was somewhere where I've got unconscious again. And so in order to stay conscious, I have to tell my brain, you have to stay conscious, right? Brain, you have to make new neuro patterns, you know, heart, we have to get the brain and the heart in lockstep. I want to start making more decisions based in my heart space. And how do I do that? Because I do that by staying present. And we just keep practicing that. We just keep saying that. We just keep allowing where we think the self-sabotage or the unconsciousness, I allow it to be let go. You know, I allow it to be transmuted, right? I allow myself to stay present. I allow myself to have courage to make these new pathways, even though they feel uncomfortable, even though I don't know how it's going to end. You know, a lot of times we make those decisions. I need a new way in my path because we're over the old story. We're over the old way of it feeling. But we also have to just recognize as humans, like, because we know how it feels, you know, we sometimes stay in that way, even though there's a part of us saying, I want to move on and we want to move on. So we can move on, but we also have to give ourselves that grace and that compassion that moving on and moving forward is going to be uncomfortable. And we have to be okay with being in that uncomfortableness because it is just signaling to us that we are opening up to something new, something more beautiful, you know, something unknown. And that's what we're here for. That Pluto and Aquarius transmuting all those old ways, all those old ways, right? And then Uranus, Aquarius's modern day ruler, has been in Taurus since 2018, right? Churning up all those. If you can think of your brain being stuck like mud, well, Uranus has been in there, churning it up, churning it up, churning it up, right? And Uranus wants the rebellion. It wants something new. It wants those lightning bolts of holy shit, right? Allow that to come in, have that courage. And it might make you feel a little uncomfortable, like, I don't have to do it this way anymore. Sometimes it's like a relief, and sometimes you feel uncomfortable, like, well, what I'm supposed to do? Well, what you're supposed to do is stay conscious, stay in the present, ask for guidance, and know in your heart that what's coming in is truly in your highest and greatest good. I know the universe is putting things in front of me that I trust, that's going to put me on the path to where I really want to be in my destiny. All these things, right? It's Mercury is going over all these things where we can change these stories and get rid of those old stories. And everything is supported. You know, Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is just finishing up. Pisces, where she is exalted, she still can get a little too dreamy right in there. So it's good to keep checking in. Like, is this Venus? Are you present? Are you present? Because she will be moving into Aries, right? Our warrior, on April 5th. So just in a few more days, right? Right in time for that. She gets to show up in Aries for that solar eclipse is what I'm trying to say. And so there she's going to be. Mars is still going to be in Pisces, right? In Sagittarius, not Sagittarius, sorry. And Saturn is in Pisces, right? And which is good because Saturn rules Capricorn. And you know, Capricorn has been on top of things like a machine, right? Getting work done. But now that it's sitting in Pisces, it's bringing stability to Pisces, but it's also allowing itself to loosen up a little bit, right? Like get a massage, if you will. All my Capricorn friends that are just like, no, I got to do it this way. Okay, good news, you're able to get a massage right now, just for this. Well, you're going to be there till like 2026, but it's important, right? So Mars and Saturn, Mars and Saturn in Pisces, right, is allowing us this new way to be strategic. It's also bringing in this new way of how we can be stable, right? Instead of either constantly being, you know, on the grind or in complete outer space, like lost at sea. We're meeting up, we're finding a new way to find that balance, which is great because we need it, right? We always talk about work-life balance. Have that conversation with yourself now. What does work-life balance look like to me? And if Mercury in Aries is saying, you know, and I know for me, like if I'm not working or doing something, I feel like I am failing, right? And that's not true because I'm doing other things, right? But it's just been so ingrained. Like, why aren't you at your 9 to 5? Why aren't you doing this? Why, you know, and it's in, for one thing, our nervous system can't take it anymore. The patriarchy has fucked us. So on jokes on you guys. But second of all, we're just moving into a different way of working, a different way of showing up, a different way of being. So I've got to make sure, what am I telling myself with those stories? It can seem like a lot. It can seem overwhelming, but you just take it one day at a time, one story at a time, because you can look at me, it's changed, right? I don't want to live with all those negative thoughts. And I mean, it was really hard at first. When I say I was constantly in tears, I was constantly in tears. But I just said, I can't keep living my life with these storylines. I can't keep living my life thinking I'm not, or I can't keep my life thinking that I'm failing in everything that I do. Like I just can't. And that's always the story. The human spirit, the human soul is always so much bigger and resilient than we give it credit for at times. So allow this time of rebirth, right? We're coming out of Easter, if you celebrate Easter, coming out of Ramadan. I think Passover is soon, or I don't know if it's already happened, but it is the spiritual time of rebirth, right? The plants are coming back online. We're here to come out of winter, right? We're here to express ourselves as we are now. And I can tell you, I was thinking about this stuff yesterday, and I always get so excited, especially when it's eclipse season, because I was like, man, I'm always excited to see all the new people that are gonna come into my life. And then I kind of stopped for a minute and I was like, actually, I'm also very excited because I get to see how I get to connect with my soul in a new way. And that just made me so happy and even more excited, right? And it was this idea, okay, Mercury, how are we going to start this new conversation? What is this new conversation going to be like with my soul, who's always been here for me, and wants to be reconnected, right? Wants to show up, wants to have these new stories that are who I am at this point in my life, and maybe who I always was, right? So this eclipse energy, if you don't know what to do with a story or an old storyline, hand it over to the eclipse. Just allow it to be eclipsed out. I'm allowing it to be eclipsed out. It's not exactly right. It's magic. It's not exactly knowing exactly what to do, but just having that faith that it's going to be taken care of. That's that Jupiter. Jupiter's faith. Jupiter's meeting up with, it's already in that conjunction with Uranus, who's in Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is love, right? So everything is really working together. I also want to kind of just touch on this real quick. It might seem right now that things are extremely turbulent. And so it's really important for us to stay present in the fact that we need to be present in our communities and what's going on around us. I know I can tell you right now, for this week, I'm not allowing myself to watch the news, which is hard because I love to watch the news. Not all day long, but I have my shows that I like to check in with, and I told myself I can't do it up until the eclipse, because I need to be focused. I want to meditate, which just means to me being present. I want to do a little more journaling, right? So, and I remember, I don't know if it was after the pandemic or not. So I worked all through the pandemic. A lot of my friends did. Some of them didn't, but a lot of them did. But I just remember like my dad, saying, no one's going back to work and all these things. And he was getting all gaslit because he was watching Fox News at the time, which didn't help our family one bit, which is really sad too, to say my dad watched Fox News because he was always such a champion of the little guy. So anyway, I don't think he watches as much anymore, because for multiple reasons, but I can just say everyone's happier when they're not watching it. So there's that. But and he would say, no one's going back to work, blah, blah, all these things. And I would just say, Dad, I don't know what you're talking about, because me and my friends go to work every single day. Every single day, we're still going to work. And then he runs a scrapyard, and I would be like, are your workers showing up? And they would be. So I'd be like, well, maybe we just stay in reality, what we see around us, and work with that instead of trying to buy into someone's narrative. Okay. And so that is going to be a very strong theme during this Mercury retrograde as well. Make sure you're not buying into someone else's narrative. Make sure you are staying present and seeing what's going on around you. And if you have to turn the news off for a while, turn it off for a while. Okay. If you have to listen to different music for a while, listen to different music for a while. This is such a powerful time with the eclipse, with the retrograde. And it really is a really good reset for all of us. People, we've been talking about karmic resets since 2019, 2020. So this is all just part of the storyline. And Pluto and Aquarius is opening. We can transmute those old thoughts, right? Um, Again, I'm just going to recap. Aquarius ruler, ancient ruler, Saturn is in Pisces. So that's allowing us to dream. It's allowing us to get structure. Saturn does rule Capricorn now, right? So it's helping loosen that up. Like it has to be a certain way. It does not. And then Aquarius's modern ruler, Uranus, is in Taurus, churning up the new energy, churning up some new soil, and Jupiter is in there. And Jupiter is expansion, and they're in a conjunction now. And so to me, it's like opening holes, right? Opening new portals, new pathways, however you want to see it. You can see it in your heart because Taurus is ruled by Venus, right? And Venus is love. We can see new pathways being put into our brains because Aquarius is the cosmos, right? And so it's allowing new openings. So this is all happening, and no, if you're getting anxiety and anxiety is coming up, some of it can be I mean, a multiple of reasons, right? But some of it is because we do know that we're starting a new path. We are going down a new way. And that could be a little bit anxious, if you are committing. I was talking to a friend yesterday. She said, I've had anxiety all day. And I said, well, what have you been doing? And she said, I've been working on this new craft room that she's been putting in. And so we kind of just talked about things. But today I was thinking about it and I was like, I wonder if this anxiety is coming in because she is committing to something new. Right? When we commit to something new, that can make us a little anxious, right? And so that could be in the present, physical, but there also could be like this idea, if you are changing your mindset, could be bringing in a little anxiety. See if it's anxiety, see if it's excitement. It is kind of exciting. This is an exciting time. Not if you watch the news, but if you talk to others and they are doing things differently, or they are finally starting to live their dream, or they are finally, getting into a new relationship and all these things that people wanted. So check in with yourself, see if it's anxiety, see if it's excitement. The other thing would be make sure you stay grounded. It's okay to stay in the sidelines. I feel like the more that we kind of take a time out, the more that we get that reset. And when we go back, we start to see like, oh, this doesn't look real anymore. I know that's just happening with me. Like when I watch some things on YouTube, like things are just not looking as polished, I guess, or it's hard to explain. Like things come up and they just look manufactured, right? Manufactured. And it's not like, it's to me, like when I'm watching, you're like, think people like what I eat in a day or something like that. It's not like scientific or scary things or things, whatever. But I notice when I go through upgrades, things just start to look manufactured. They don't look the same. When I read something, it doesn't hit the same way. So give yourself that break. Allow that to come up. Have that conversation with yourself that's okay, that things keep changing. It's just part of the up level cycling. But really, the best advice I can give you is to stay present. Stay present in your thoughts, stay present in your brain. Tell your brain, we've just got to think presently right now. Heart, I need you to stay conscious. I need you to keep making decisions in a conscious state because this is where I want to go. So happy Mercury retrograde, everybody. Like anything, it can have its challenges. But I also think we're getting really better at these challenges. I think that it helps us, it's helped making us better people because we're learning to communicate differently. Or relearning how to communicate with our thoughts, with our feelings, but make sure you guys are communicating with yourselves appropriately. Okay. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to me. You can get in touch with me at Independent Street Tarot on Instagram or Seasons and Ritual. And then I do have websites under the same names. I haven't blogged for a while on the websites, but maybe I'll get back into it. Again, it's just been this time of trying to see like what is the best routine to do these types of things, as well as take care of my immediate community, because I always want to take care of my immediate community first and then the online community as well. So still working it out. I'm starting to feel a little more confident though. This Aries energy is really starting to pick up. So that's good. Again, if you guys have questions, please put them down below. I love answering questions. So again, happy Mercury retrograde. The eclipse is coming up, so we'll be having some videos about that as well. My friend Carrie and I might start a new little series. And I know I'm going to be interviewing my friend Lauren, who is a yoga instructor here in New Orleans, who also has Parkinson's. So she's quite the inspirational story, if you will. So till then, have a great day and be present in what you are thinking.